I have 4 hip joint stretches for you using your body and a wall. I'm going to use my cabinets here. The hip joint, is a ball and socket. So there's lots of muscles that wrap around it, lots of tendons that wrap around it. I'm going to focus on one stretch for the hip flexors, one for the abductors, the outer thighs here, one for the glutes, and then one for the adductors. Loosening these up, if you're feeling pain in the knees, the hips, or the lower back, one of these 4 might create positive results for you. And I'll talk a little bit more about that as we do it. Very simple stretches, but effective. So first one I'm going to do, I'm going to put my hips, we're going to put my pelvis up against the wall. Okay, I'm going to push it as far forward as I can, and I'm going to tighten up my rear end so my hips and maybe my lower abdomen stay pretty connected to the wall. Now I can walk my toes back a little bit, but I want to keep my hips on the wall. So the further back my feet are, the more I'm going to feel this stretch. This is like a cobra. If you've done any yoga, this is like a cobra, but it's just from the wall. I'm going to pull my head as far back as I can. I'm going to keep my hips and lower abdomen connected to the wall. Keep my glutes tight. Okay, if you don't want to do a static stretch right out of the gate, you've got some cold muscles and tendons, not a lot of circulation, recommend doing a movement. So I'll move the back of my head as far back as I can, or I could come out here to the distant point and I could pulse. I could add my hands here, and arms and hands carry weight, so you'll feel it more. Okay, or you could just hold a static stretch. You're gonna feel that in your lower back, and it's gonna hit those hip flexors. If you're feeling more lower back and less hip flexor, you could do a trade-off here where I took my head really far back. I'm gonna keep my head still this time and get my feet really far back, and that will probably limit my range going back here. But since my feet are further back, it's going to pull the leg side of that hinge more, and I might get more into those hip flexors. So it'd be a good one to do if you've been sitting down for a long time. You've been in a long car ride, or you've just been in a chair, something along those lines. Okay, going to hit the abductors next, the outer thighs. I think what I'm going to do here is I'm going to just put my hands on the wall just so I have stability and control. I'm going to take my left foot, cross it behind my right, and I'm going to soften up that left knee, soften up that right knee. If you're able to see my feet, all my toes are pointed at the same spot on the wall. Okay, I don't want my head forward. I want my head above my body. But I'm going to tilt my head to the right. I'm going to push my hips to the left. And this is going to run up into my oblique, but the center of it should be somewhere right around the hip joint, and it's going to run down to the outside of my knee. And that's going to be on the leg that's in back. Okay, so I don't want my head forward. I want my head over the top. My hands are on the wall, maybe to help force my head back or just give me stability. I just walk my hands. I keep them in front of my eyes, basically. Push my hips to the left, push my head to the right. I'm going to get an oblique crunch on the opposite side and an oblique hip outer thigh stretch on the other side. So you really want to push the hips too. Even if you're not seeing me move, the pressure's there. So make a note, seeing the movement is not the same as feeling it, right? Okay, let's try the other side. Right foot behind the left. You want a little space so you have a decent stance. Soft knees, head over the body. I don't want it forward. Okay, I'm going to take my head to the left. I'm going to take my hips. I'm pushing them to the right. So moving them in opposite directions. Okay. Just like the other stretch, you could add a pulse to it. So what I would do, I would actually pulse with your hip. That's more important than your head, because your head is at one end of the movement. Your hip is right in the middle of the movement. So it's going to be more effective if I just push my hip to the right in a pulsing fashion. or to the left, it's the other side. Or you could do full range of motion movement to really warm it up. Or if you're warmed up and you just need a stretch, maybe hold a static stretch. Okay, so we got the hip flexors first. We got those abductors, the outer thighs. And, on that one, you hopefully, if you can get it to run down your thigh, maybe even to the knee, that's really good. That means that you're putting the pressure out there with the hip. Let's do the glute next. So I would probably pick like the glute medius and the piriformis for my glute stretch. I'm going to cross those feet again, and I'm going to soften up the knees, and I'm going to just slide my head and my hands down the wall, and I'm actually pushing my tailbone back. I'm pushing my butt back. This is going to hit one or both outer parts of the glute. All right, so it's going to wrap around the butt, but it may feel a little bit like outer thigh too, and that's okay. Okay, if I want to add to this, I could go high to low. When I come up, I bring the hips forward. When I go down, I bring the hips back. Wag your tail like a dog. You're going to feel that. It's going to run through the hamstrings and everything. Nothing wrong with that. It's just radiating further. Or I could try to get my hands all the way to the floor, and I could do a knee pop. Right? Or you could do a knee pop here too. But if you're moving at the knee joint, it's going to hit the hamstring more, and the glutes will probably still feel it, but just not as much. So then you would do both sides, right? Cross the feet, toes forward, hands on the wall, head and hands low, push the tailbone back. You can even lift the toes. I'm just going through some things you can add to it. And do a little pulse right here. It's going to pull that whole chain. Every muscle group is connected to other muscle groups. Literally, yes, but they work together. They work against each other sometimes. They have relationships with other. They're in a chain to each other oftentimes, especially when you're stretching. So that's number 3. That's your glutes. And number 4, I'm going to do the inner thighs. Pretty simple one. I'm going to spread my feet out pretty wide. I'm not going to go max range on this first version. I'm going to go just shy of max range. I want my knees and my toes to be pointed outward, right? I'm going to put my hands on the wall. I'm going to lower into something between a hip hinge and a squat. So I'm bringing my head and hands low, but I'm also bending my knees. I'm going to put all my weight over one leg, all my weight over the other. And you could pulse with one side, pulse with the other side. You could just hold for several seconds on each side. Okay, so that's a moving version. If you really want to pull it tight, right here, get those feet as wide as you can, push your butt back. You put your hands on the floor even, and just walk the feet out as far as you can. And that is your adductors or your inner thighs, those muscles that run up through your groin. So there's 4 stretches for your hip joints where all you need is a wall. If you found this helpful, if you have more questions, leave me a comment. Have a good day.